Howdy sea campers, my name is Libby and I'm so excited to be here with you today. We are going to be doing a craft of our coral reef in a jar craft. So let's get into some of the materials that you'll need for this craft. One for sure is a jar. We have one that we have here in the office, but one thing you can do is reuse all of the materials that you have in your house. So if you have an old peanut butter jar, an old jelly jar, or old pickle jar, whatever you want to use, you can definitely reuse that and for this craft. Another material that you'll need is modeling clay. So you can find this at your local stores, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, anything like that. Just making sure that it is not water soluble. So make sure that it can withstand being in some water. Another thing is a really good glue. We have this specific kind we know that works really well, but you can also use some different types of glue like Gorilla Glue or super glue, things to make sure that you're sealing your jar with. Another thing that I'm specifically going to be using, like glitter and things like that, but you can also use food coloring into your water to give it some pizzazz. And then also a pencil can be helpful when making details and as well as helping form all of your clay in here. So let's get started. So I do want to show you some examples of what this looks like. You can be creative. This is your coral reef, your environment. Definitely choose any amount of colors that you want. You can mix things together. You can make creatures. You can do whatever you want to do. It can be a rainbow coral reef. It could be just an all blue crab city that can have all sorts of crabs on it. Whatever you want to do, definitely get creative with it all. The first thing that we're going to do, you'll want to make sure to decide what your base color is going to be. So I've chosen blue here. You'll want to make sure whenever you're putting it down on the top, that's what we're mainly going to be using all of our coral reef and clay creations on. It will be our top that we're going to create the whole thing. The actual bottle itself on the top will be a little bit later. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure to make your base. You're going to want to make sure whenever you put down your color that you're leaving room and space for your edge. So you want to make sure that you're not like covering the whole bottom, but you're actually leaving a little bit of space in. So whenever you screw on your top here, that your top or like your jar itself can actually be screwed on well. So make sure that you do that and you cover the whole bottom here. Here is my top. As you can see, I left a good amount of room in between. You can leave a little bit less room, but for me, that's just kind of how I prefer to do it. You can also make higher levels of your bottom or level. You can totally get creative on how you want to do that, but this is kind of how I did mine. Remember, just leaving that space in between those sides. The next part is purely up to y'all. You will create based on your modeling clay or on your different items what you want your coral reefs to look like. But I will give you a helpful tip that as you're kind of going into your, like putting your corals on, you can do something called sporing. So how you'll do this, I'll write this on the board here, is whenever you have your coral reef on the very bottom, the thing that's going to connect to your actual top here, you'll take a pencil or like a toothpick and you'll go like this and then across like this to make lines into that bottom there. And then on your base, you'll do the same thing on the clay on the base, and then whenever you merge them together, you'll be able to really merge both of those clays together, and it will help it have a more solid stick to it. So I would recommend doing that. So again, get creative and be able to make your whole environment the way that you want it. And once you're finished with that creative aspect part, making your coral reef the way you want it, then you'll move on to sealing and putting water into your coral reef.
A fun tip, you can also use a toothpick or a pencil to be able to create fun designs on your clay here. You can put little circles in here to create like a sponge looking thing. You could also create lines. Definitely be able to use the utensils in fun ways to be able to create your own coral reef here.
So once you get your coral reef exactly the way that you want it, you'll want to fill the top half, or I guess the bottom half of the jar, with water. And this is where you will do any of the food dye or the glitter that you may want to. You can pour as much of the glitter as you want in there. For food dye, make sure that you're only doing maybe 1 or 2 drops because it can cause the water to get really dark. So you want to make sure you can still see your coral reef. And then once you are finished with what you want in your water or your ocean, you'll move on to putting the glue. So what you'll do is you'll put glue all the way around the edges, because remember we left that space there in between the edges, and that's where you're going to fill it in with glue. And that is the point. You'll actually turn your coral reef upside down, and then you'll screw it on top, and it will seal it with the glue, and then you'll be able to have a beautiful coral reef environment just like the examples that we have here, but it'll be your very own. So I'm so excited to be able to see the coral reefs that you will create, and I can't wait to see them on Flipgrid. See y'all at camp!